tell me, what are these awful things I'm supposed to be doing to you?
Today, we're taking you on a wild ride through the glitz, glamour, and scandalous world of Tinseltown. I present the shocking truth about the 10 biggest jerks in Hollywood history. Watch this video if you don't want to miss out. Number 10. Bing Crosby. The legendary crooner with the smooth voice and charming smile.
Where the buffalo roam around the zoo and the Indians run up a rug or two, the old Bar Rex is a barbecue. Oh, yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay!
Little did we know that behind that iconic persona, there lurked a dark side. According to his oldest son, Gary, in his tell-all biography, Going My Own Way, Bing Crosby wasn't exactly the warm and fuzzy father figure we imagined. Gary claimed that his dad's disciplinary tactics included stern lectures and even a studded leather belt. But it didn't stop there. When his brothers misbehaved, Gary himself would be punished too. And brace yourself for this one. The housekeepers allegedly resorted to giving the children the, quote, drowning treatment in the bathtub if they were caught talking in bed, or if they dared to wake up too early. That's some pretty extreme discipline, wouldn't you say? The sad part is that 2 of Bing Crosby's children went on to suffer from depression and eventually took their own lives. It's heartbreaking to think that such a beloved figure could have had such a troubled and damaging impact on his own family. But here's another surprising revelation. Bing Crosby's strained relationships weren't limited to his children.
And you take a base. Man, now we're getting someplace.
Despite starring in 7 road movies together, it turns out that Bing and his co-star Bob Hope weren't exactly buddies off-screen. In fact, Bob Hope once confided to a friend that he simply didn't like Bing, and at times even detested him. Who would have thought that behind the laughs and chemistry on-screen, there was tension and animosity behind closed doors? Number 9. Milton Berle. Ah, the legendary Milton Berle, affectionately known as Uncle Milty to millions. But behind the warm and endearing persona, there was a darker side that earned him a reputation as the, quote, thief of bad gags. Yes, you heard that right, a joke thief. Now you might be wondering how such a beloved figure could resort to such unscrupulous behavior. Well, let's dive into the not-so-glamorous side of Uncle Milty.
I'm going crazy. I saw.
Back in 1993, at the MTV Video Music Awards, the iconic drag queen RuPaul decided to call him out. It seems like their on-camera camaraderie was merely a facade, as behind the scenes, they didn't exactly get along swimmingly. RuPaul's attempt to pass the torch to the comedy veteran turned awkward when things went off script, leading to a strained professional relationship and RuPaul's eventual departure from MTV. But that's not the end of Milton Berle's jerkish adventures. He managed to earn himself a lifetime ban from hosting NBC's Saturday Night Live. When he guest hosted the show in 1979, he went completely overboard during rehearsals, trying to take control of the entire show and upstaging his fellow cast members. To make matters worse, he shamelessly recycled old comedy bits that had lost their charm a long time ago. Lorne Michaels, the show's creator, tried to sweep this disaster under the rug, attempting to prevent the episode from being rerun. But as fate would have it, copies of the disastrous performance surfaced in 2003, revealing the truth about this Hollywood star's jerky behavior. Number 8. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Now here's a name that sparks images of old Hollywood's undeniable beauty, Zsa Zsa Gabor. She was a true icon, and her fame stretched far and wide.
I heard the verdict.
It's dangerous for you to come here.
I must take that risk, and so must you.
But there's always more to a story than meets the eye, and Zsa Zsa had her fair share of controversial moments. Despite struggling with failing health for what seemed like forever, she defied the odds and lived to a remarkable 99 years old. Zsa Zsa Gabor was known to be rather unpleasant to be around, leaving a trail of disgruntled acquaintances in her wake. Some even compared her to the Kardashians of today, but we'll save that debate for another time. One of Gabor's biggest sins was how she treated her own daughter, Francesca Hilton. Despite proudly displaying her daughter on red carpets and social gatherings during her early years, things took a sharp turn when Francesca showed no interest in wearing makeup. Apparently, that's where the mother-daughter bond hit a snag. But the real heartbreak came after Francesca's father, the billionaire hotel magnate Conrad Hilton, passed away. You would expect some inheritance, right? Well, not so much for poor Francesca. She was left with a mere $100,000, which might sound like a lot to some, but in her father's world, it was a pittance. Francesca fought tooth and nail in court to get her rightful share, but to no avail. And sadly, the legal battle took a massive toll on her finances, leaving her penniless in the end. With minimal help from her mother, Francesca faced dire financial straits for the rest of her days, and her final hours were spent in Beverly Hills. Let us know your thoughts on this story in the comments section below.
Simply being famous. She was rich, she was gorgeous, she was outrageous, and she ate men for breakfast.
Number 7. Errol Flynn, the dashing swashbuckler of Hollywood's golden age. With his devil-may-care attitude and undeniable charm, he seemed like the epitome of a leading man. But as they say, truth can sometimes be stranger than fiction, and Flynn's life was no exception.
Call me irresponsible.
In 1980, Charles Hickham's biography, Errol Flynn, The Untold Story, dropped like a bombshell, making some shocking allegations about the legendary actor. Hickam claimed that Flynn had multiple same-sex affairs and even went so far as to accuse him of being a Nazi sympathizer. Can you imagine? But hold on, because these claims were later debunked in subsequent biographies. It goes to show that rumors can run wild, even about the most celebrated stars. Now, you've probably heard the phrase, "in like Flynn," right? Well, that expression has a rather dark origin. Back in 1942, Flynn found himself entangled in not one, but 3 statutory rape trials. Yep, you heard it right, 3. And although he was acquitted each time, the damage to his reputation was already done.
A throw-in, undependable.
As the years went by, Flynn's swashbuckling lifestyle started taking its toll on his once dashing looks. He began to play roles of aging alcoholics, a far cry from the heartthrob he once was. And then, tragedy struck when he passed away at the relatively young age of 50. The cause? A heart attack. But here's the shocker. The medical examiner who conducted the autopsy stated that Flynn's body resembled that of an 85-year-old man. Number 6. Gene Kelly, the man who danced his way into our hearts in countless musical classics. With his smooth moves and charismatic presence, he was the epitome of grace and talent. Legend has it that when the stunning dancer Sid Charisse returned home from the MGM lot covered in bruises, her husband immediately assumed she had been working with none other than Gene Kelly. Now, you might think it's just a case of being a bit too rough during dance rehearsals, but it seems there could be something darker lurking beneath the surface. In 1970, reports emerged that Kelly had made a rather controversial donation. Brace yourselves, because it was said that he donated money to none other than the Provincial Irish Republican Army, IRA. Yes, you heard that right. It was claimed that Kelly met secretly with IRA leader Cathal Golding during an underground fundraising mission in the USA and handed him a check for a whopping £20,000. And if that wasn't enough, it's rumored that Kelly even said, quote, "This money is for guns. I certainly don't want it going to any do-gooders." Now, before we go any further, let's hear the other side of the story. Gene Kelly's widow, Patricia Ward Kelly, vehemently disputes these allegations. According to her, these claims surfaced only after her late husband's passing. She asserts that while he was proud of his Irish heritage, he simply didn't have much money to spare, and violence was not in his nature. Well, it's time to talk about another Hollywood icon who stirred up quite a bit of controversy with his off-screen beliefs. That's right, we're talking about none other than number 5, John Wayne. The tough-as-nails cowboy who won the hearts of millions with his rugged charm and memorable performances.
Yeah, there's that. But mostly it's money.
But hold on tight, because behind that heroic facade, there were some dark and divisive opinions. In his early career, John Wayne surprisingly referred to himself as both a socialist and a liberal. But as time went on, his political views took a sharp turn to the right. He supported Barry Goldwater, who voted against the Civil Rights Act in 1964. And don't forget this. In a 1971 Playboy interview, Wayne made some highly controversial remarks. He professed his belief in white supremacy and shockingly stated that African Americans shouldn't hold office until they were, quote, educated to a point of responsibility. Wayne didn't stop there. He was also openly vocal against homosexuality. He condemned films like Suddenly Last Summer as, quote, too disgusting even for discussion, and labeled Midnight Cowboy as, quote, perverse. But here's a twist. Despite his anti-homosexual stance, Wayne formed an unexpected friendship with Rock Hudson during their time co-starring in The Undefeated, and they remained close until Wayne's death in 1979. Now, it's no secret that John Wayne's views haven't aged well, and they continue to spark controversy even today. Some film school students can't help but walk out of class when his movies are screened. And there are even calls to remove his name from the Orange County Airport by Democratic leaders. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom for the Duke. He may have had his critics, but he also had a legion of devoted fans who admired his on-screen persona and legendary career. And if you need further proof of his lasting impact, just take a listen to Public Enemy's 1989 hit, Fight the Power, where John Wayne gets a not-so-flattering mention. Stay tuned as we uncover more jaw-dropping stories from the annals of Hollywood history. And as always, let us know what you think in the comments below. Number 4, Bette Davis. It's time to shine the spotlight on the incomparable Bette Davis, the ferocious screen goddess who could make even the most seasoned professionals blush. Known for her talent, beauty, and a fiery personality to match, Davis left an indelible mark on the world of Hollywood. But beware, because beneath that glamorous exterior, there were some shocking incidents that showcased her no-nonsense attitude.
Yes, I'm sick and I'm tired. Now leave me alone! Leave me alone!
Well, if that's the way you feel.
That is the way I feel about it.
Imagine sitting down for a nice dinner with Betty and director Herschel Doherty, only to witness a moment that would send shivers down your spine. Doherty made the grave mistake of wagging his finger in Davis's face, triggering a response that would make anyone think twice. Davis unleashed a verbal tirade so powerful that it cleared out half the restaurant. And just like that, she calmly returned to her dinner as if nothing had happened. Now, we all know that the world of filmmaking can be intense, and Davis was no stranger to the pressures of the set.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
During the filming of Mr. Skeffington, she would often rinse her legendary eyes between scenes to combat the demanding lighting. But someone took advantage of this routine and entered her dressing room, poisoning her eyewash. The culprit remains a mystery to this day, but director Vincent Sherman reportedly quipped to detectives, quote, "If you were to line up the cast and crew and ask them, okay, which one of you wanted to kill Bette Davis? 100 people would raise their hands." Number 3, Mickey Rooney. When it comes to relationships, Rooney seemed to have a knack for making headlines. With a whopping 8 marriages under his belt, he earned a reputation as a serial husband. In his tell-all autobiography, Life is Too Short, he boasted about countless extramarital affairs, leaving readers both fascinated and shocked. Notably, his affair with Norma Shearer, which caused complications during the production of Marie Antoinette, drew the ire of MGM studio head Louis B. Mayer. Rooney's indiscretions were just the tip of the iceberg, as he also made salacious claims about his first trip to a bordello with his mentor Milton Berle, and witnessing Tallulah Bankhead in a lesbian encounter. It seems that Rooney was no stranger to controversy, often finding himself entangled in the web of Hollywood gossip. But these scandalous tales didn't stop there. In his autobiography, Rooney also outed his close friend Judy Garland for having a brief affair with a woman.
There, and attended by Hollywood's younger set, including irrepressible Mickey Rooney.
And shockingly described explicit details about his first wife Ava Gardner's private parts. These revelations further fueled the perception that Rooney had a penchant for crossing boundaries and disclosing personal matters without remorse. Such behavior undoubtedly affected those around him, tarnishing the reputation of not only himself, but also of his friends and former partners. In 2019, Hollywood journalist Craig Bennett added fuel to the fire with his book, True Confessions of a Shameless Gossip. Bennett's claims painted Rooney as an abrasive and rude individual, notorious for his behavior both on and off screen. The most shocking allegation involved a 14-year-old Elizabeth Taylor, with Rooney allegedly engaging in a relationship with her during the filming of National Velvet when he was 24. However, it's important to note that many of these claims were widely disputed and considered either exaggerated or completely false. On the silver screen, Mickey Rooney portrayed characters who charmed audiences with his boy-next-door persona.
Just a failure. Oh, well, I was a failure yesterday. Now look at me today.
From his humble beginnings to his comedic roles in later years, he had the ability to captivate viewers. However, his nice guy image seemed to be a product of his acting prowess rather than a reflection of his true self. Rooney's later years were marked by an eccentricity that embraced self-mockery, allowing him to poke fun at his own persona in projects like The Simpsons. In his final act, Rooney released his autobiography, raising expectations among fans eager to unravel the twists and turns of his career. However, instead of an insightful account of his professional journey, the book largely delved into his sexual exploits, engaging in what can be seen as slut-shaming by today's standards. Number 2. Joan Crawford. It all started on the set of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, when Crawford clashed with Bette Davis. Their backstage battle became the stuff of legends and was even dramatized in the 2017 miniseries Feud. Davis, desperate to have Crawford fired from the film, tried everything in her power to undermine her. However, Crawford held her ground and remained a part of the project. When Davis received an Academy Award nomination and Crawford didn't, the tension reached its boiling point. In a classic act of revenge, Crawford managed to secure a spot as a presenter at the Oscars and actively campaigned against Davis. When Anne Bancroft won the Best Director Award for The Miracle Worker in 1963, Crawford shockingly accepted the trophy on Bancroft's behalf. It was a calculated move to steal Davis's spotlight and further escalate their bitter rivalry. Hollywood drama at its finest. In 1978, her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, published a tell-all book titled Mommy Dearest, revealing a lifetime of alleged abuse. While some of Crawford's other children denied experiencing abuse, and some of her friends defended her, Crawford's alcoholism, jealousy, and obsession with cleanliness were widely known in Hollywood circles. Rumors even circulated about a one-night stand with Marilyn Monroe, and she was named, quote, the other woman in multiple divorces. Christina Crawford's book shed light on the troubled upbringing she endured.
Oh, I'm so happy for them. I don't know
Claiming that her mother adopted children as nothing more than a publicity stunt, Christina described a childhood spent mostly in boarding schools. Shockingly, Crawford is said to have illegally adopted her children through back channels, and one birth mother even attempted to reclaim her child shortly after Crawford brought them home. In death, Crawford left behind a substantial $2 million estate. However, her will excluded her adopted children, Christina and Christopher, leaving them with nothing, while two other adopted children inherited $77,500 each. Number 1. Charlie Chaplin. Let's talk about the legendary Charlie Chaplin, the iconic figure who revolutionized cinema and left an indelible mark on the world. known for his incredible talent as a writer, director, and actor in timeless classics like City Lights and The Kid, Chaplin's genius on screen is undeniable. However, it's also important to acknowledge that behind the scenes, there are accounts that suggest Chaplin had a jerkish side to his personality. Chaplin's relentless pursuit of perfection often led him to clash with his actors and crew. He was notorious for his demanding standards and would become hostile if they didn't meet his expectations. Stories of unnecessary firings, verbal abuse, and frequent tantrums have been shared by those who worked with him. His pursuit of excellence came at a cost, creating a difficult working environment for those around him. In his personal life, Chaplin's reputation as a difficult individual extended to his relationships and marriages. Despite being married several times, he had a track record of emotional abuse, control, and infidelity, according to his former wives. These women have shared their harrowing experiences of living with him, highlighting his problematic behavior and disregard for monogamy. Chaplin's marriages were also marked by significant age differences. He married his first wife when she was only 17 years old, and his second wife at the age of 16. Later in life, at the age of 54, he married 18-year-old Una O'Neill, daughter of the renowned playwright Eugene O'Neill. While this marriage caused a rift with Una's father, they remained together until Chaplin's death. However, reports indicate that Chaplin was an abusive husband to all of his wives and had no qualms about engaging in extramarital affairs. Despite the jerky aspects of his personality, Charlie Chaplin's contributions to cinema and his comedic genius cannot be overlooked. His silent films spoke volumes, entertaining and captivating audiences worldwide. Chaplin's legacy is a complex one, showcasing both his brilliance on screen and the darker aspects of his personal life. Now it's your turn. Who would you vote as the biggest jerk in Hollywood history? Leave us your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon for more intriguing Hollywood content. Thanks for watching.